For those of us on Medicare, these are extremely critical days. We're right in the midst of the prescription drugs and Medicare open enrollment period. From October 15th to December 7th, you can join or switch your Medicare health or drug coverage. Now, this is a very important decision that can have a major effect on our lives and on our health. So we have asked an expert for help, and we welcome Cesar Chacon. He is the agency owner and licensed broker with the Insurance Hub. We're so happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
I used to sit around with my girlfriends and talk about boys. Now I sit around with my girlfriends and talk about which prescription drug plan do you have. Medicare's so tricky. Yep. Can you help?
Well, it is that time when Medicare open enrollment is upon us, and there are a lot of questions that are out there. There are a lot of things that have happened in individuals' lives, like maybe their health has declined or maybe their prescriptions have changed, and so you can't just go through and just pick up with where you had the same plan that you had before. So you have to make sure that you have to view all the different plans based on your prescription meds. Maybe your doctor isn't accepting your plan anymore. So there's a lot of variables that you have to look at during this open enrollment.
So if my neighbor says, "Oh, I've got this great plan," you don't just go with that because it worked for her.
Oh, absolutely not. It's one of those pet peeves of mine when I have a client says, "Hey, my neighbor has this product and I really want it because she has this, this, and that," and I always just kind of just calmly say, "Look," I say, Medicare is just an individualized type plan, and you have different medications possibly, you have different doctors, specialists, so whatever works for your neighbor is not necessarily going to work for you. It would be nice if everything worked for everybody, but it's not the case.
So I would sit down with you and say, okay, here are the prescriptions I use. Here's how often I go to the doctor, and you would help me work out which plan would fit that one?
I think the prescription drugs aspect of it is the most important piece during open enrollment, because again, things change throughout your, maybe they change, maybe they don't. I do have clients that they had a rough year with the pandemic. They had maybe a stroke, they had a heart attack, and so now they're taking some serious brand names that are costing them higher dollars in terms of co-pays and so forth. And it's one of those things that you can't just ignore, because if you ignore it, possibly that your plan that you're on now, it's possible that it's not even in the formulary. The formulary is a list of drugs that's listed in your prescription drug plan or in your Medicare Advantage plan. And it's important that you review that. It's so important, it's critical that you review that every year, because if you don't, it could be detrimental to your pocketbook next year. Possibly, in some cases, if I could just say this, I have sometimes clients that won't want to take the prescription drugs because they don't know there's additional help out there. So that's what we're here for.
So you have to know exactly what drugs you're taking and choose by your own individual status. Anything to look out for when we're choosing a plan? Right.
So you always want to get advice from an expert that can kind of help you guide your situation in a Medicare plan or a prescription drug plan. The reason that's so crucial is because, again, as I mentioned, a lot of folks think that just because they have this Medicare plan and this prescription drug plan, that all their drugs are going to be covered. Well, for example, there's 22 standalone prescription drug plans in our area.
Whoa.
And all of them have different formularies. Again, the different medications that they cover. And so there are things that we can switch around, we can move around, and just so I mentioned this, that in the year, if something happens somewhere in the year where you can't switch your plan, the doctor can help you, file an exception to add that to your formulary for your prescription drug plan, your Medicare Advantage plan. So.
Are there some plans that sound so great when we hear about them on TV, but they end up costing you a fortune?
I think it's important that you look at what's on TV and say, everything sounds so good. You have dental, you have this, you have they give you all the
somebody pick you up and drive you to the doctor.
Yeah, there are a lot of plans like that, and they're really good for a lot of folks, and mostly folks that have chronic conditions or folks that are low income, but not necessarily fit everybody. So you have to be wary about the things that they do offer you on an ongoing basis. You have to look at your individual basis. If I can mention this, One of my other pet peeves is when I hear a client say, "Hey, I want all this stuff from the over-the-counter, the prescription drug plans and dental," which is great. My job is to make sure you have the best healthcare plan, right? To make sure that your prescriptions are going to be covered. If you're worried about dental or vision, which are very important things, characteristics, or over-the-counter, that's fine. But I think the most important things have to be your healthcare plan. Make sure the copays are in line. Make sure the physicians are taking your plan, and your prescription costs are not going to drain your pocketbook.
Oh, there's so much to know.
Oh, it's fun.
Thank you so much. And to get your question answered about Medicare open enrollment, go to theinsurancehub.net. We'll be right back.